Oh baby, are you a 1960s lounge singer in Vegas? Then this is the DIY for you. This is Laugh Cry DIY. I'm Katie, and I am drunk on excitement. Although I am a DIYer, I am also a creeper, and I love to hit my favorite sites to see what people are making, to see what the brands are putting out there. And on my adventures, I recently stumbled across this fantastic piece of home decor, the Urban Outfitters Martini Mirror. It's so sassy, it's so swingin', it's so kitsch. It also reminds me of the very popular, famous vintage 1993 Martini lamp by David Chris. But most of all, this mirror made me laugh because I recently had a situation with a martini, which resulted in a friend getting me this martini shirt for my birthday. I will tell you more about that story and why I'm even making this later. But I saw this mirror, I thought it was so fun. I've been wanting to do a cut glass project for a long time and haven't had an excuse to do it. And I also kind of wanted to come up with a way to replicate this that was fairly easy and also that could be adapted into other shapes if you guys wanted to make kind of novelty mirrors. So sit back, pour yourself a drink, and watch me make a martini. So here are the basic supplies we're gonna use today to bring this vision to life. Number one, a mirror. I have a lot of dollar store mirrors and other thrifted mirrors. I just pulled this out of a janky frame, but you guys can use whatever you want. Next, you're gonna need a glass cutter. I know this seems very intimidating. I too was once intimidated. I've actually been wanting to do a glass cutting project for a long time, and I'm so grateful to my subscriber, Devin, who sent me a care package of a bunch of miscellaneous things, including a glass cutter. So Devin, this martini is dedicated to you. So this is how glass cutters work. You have the cutter with the blade down here at the end. You actually have multiple blades for different depths of the cut or the scoring of the glass. Obviously, I'm working with a really thin one, but if you were cutting something larger or more substantial like a bathroom or vanity mirror, you're gonna need a different blade. You also need lubrication. So the top comes off right here, and it comes with a little pipette, like that. And you fill it up with some cutting oil off camera, pipe that in, screw her up, and she's ready to go. Now, as you can see on the original inspiration mirror, that is actually a wire framed mirror. And I was like, that's cute, but we're not dealing with wire. We're just gonna figure out a better way. So I actually got this black cording. It's kind of thick. I got it at the craft store. It's really easy and pliable. So we're just actually gonna hot glue that on the trim so that we can cover the raw edges and outline the shape. But that way we don't have to become wire smiths. Is that what it's called? I don't know. So first we're gonna cut out our mirror shapes, then we're gonna work on assembling and zhuzhing them up. Right as I said that, this is Baguette, my favorite co-host and interrupter. Looking at herself in the mirror, so vain. Get out of here. Oh, and of course, because we're cutting glass, we need safety. So we need gloves, eyewear, and a mask. Okay, first things first, we're gonna put down a towel to work with. That way you have a little bit more stability and it can catch any glass shards. You guys have no idea how hard it is to film this without weird reflections, but okay. So first things first, I wanna create my martini top. Draw that across. You need a nice straight edge to guide you, and you only want to score the whole thing once. All right, let's do it, guys. You guys hear that? Okay, I did break it right there. Oops. Okay, I know I already broke this. I'm just gonna move this out of the way. So when it's time to break it, whichever side you wanna keep, so that's this side, you wanna tap along the fracture line on this side. And that should make it easier to snap in half. Yay! We have our top. Okay, next I wanna make the stem for this piece. So I am just gonna mark off kind of a thin portion. Yay. Okay guys, so we have our top, we have our stem, and we need to make our base, but we are gonna try to get a rounded base on this thing by using this little cup as a guide. And I'm gonna freehand this. It may not work, it may not, that's okay. Nope. Bust. Okay, let's try it again. May work, may not. Guys, I did it! Were you guys scared? Me too. But if I can do it, you guys can do it. And honestly, it just takes a lot of practicing, a lot of messing around. So get a cheap mirror and you'll be fine. So I have my shapes, but we do have jagged little edges everywhere. So we need to smooth those down. So we're gonna use some sandpaper and a freaking mask to smooth these edges. And guys, I hope you are really enjoying the ASMR of this video because there is a lot. I also find it easier to flip it backwards. That way you can really see the shape without getting distracted by reflections or other marks, etc. Okay, I'm gonna clean everything up and we will be back. And we're back. Now we are going to zhuzh up and assemble our whole piece. But before we do that, we are going to solve one problem that we have not solved so far. And that is, what we need is a little olive in this martini because it is a dirty, dirty, naughty martini. Fortunately, another subscriber also had sent me a pack of things and items, and that also included a bunch of these little circle mirrors. They're incredibly thin, but they are the perfect size for, look at that, our little olive. How cute. Now listen, as we know, not every project goes well, but I wanted a sheer paint or whatever color so that the mirror would actually show through. Unfortunately, although I stupidly attempted to make my own alcohol ink, which is I believe what you need to dye glass or mirrors, it was a super bust. We're not even gonna go into it. We're not gonna talk about it. Now, fortunately, I do have the most olive color ever of latex paint. This is Frog by Bear. Kind of perfect. So we're just gonna say forget it. We're just gonna do a matte green paint on our little olive. I'm also going to glue some of these together to build them up because they are so thin that we need like more thickness so that it kind of stands out evenly, if that makes sense. And the cutest part about these two is that they also have little peel and stick backs. Today we're gonna make our little mirror Oreo. Do we see? How cute. But I am gonna add yet another little sticker on the bottom just to give more of that depth because this is gonna overlay onto the mirror. Paint time! This is not very cute, but oh well. So here's the thing, you could kind of glue all these pieces together, but I wanna make sure that these three pieces, these sisters, are strong, connected, and that no man shall break them. So I'm actually going to use a little bit, this is just a regular like wooden popsicle stick. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this as a brace to kind of connect all the pieces together. We need to outline each piece individually, so we're not gonna do the whole thing yet, but I am gonna cut this in half so that I can put it on the back of this stem. That way I can make sure that pieces above and below can also be glued to other things. It makes sense in my head. So I'm just gonna trim this down from the side a little bit. And the good thing is that it's a popsicle stick, so pretty easy to do. Boom. Okay, but before that all goes together, we're gonna outline each piece in our beautiful black cording. This is kind of a perfect thickness because it kind of works as like a simple graphic outline for the whole piece. Now you would think that the way we're gonna do this is just to hot glue the side and stick the cording on. What are you, crazy? No. The problem with that is that it is too risky and you're likely to have a lot of spillage with the hot glue. That's no bueno. So instead what we're gonna do is we are going to flip this over. We are gonna just glue the seam along the back so that it kind of like seals together on the back and holds it in place without oozing through to the front. By the way, we are using hot Gorilla Glue. This is my go-to, this is my lover. Now you do have to work to bend these corners and really keep them crisp kind of, but you can kind of bend the cording and again, press in anywhere you're worried about like a gap coming through, just hold and press that in. Okay, so I told you guys I would tell you the story of why I was making this. Okay, so last year, for some reason, for a couple months, I was like seriously craving a dirty, very dirty martini. And for some reason, everywhere I went, couldn't or wouldn't make it for me. And then my girlfriends and I, we went to Paris. I was like, my mission is to get a really good dirty martini. And for some reason, the French just would not make it. Everywhere we went, whatever restaurant, it wasn't their vibe, they didn't have it on the menu, like who knows? No one would make it. Finally, we went to an old school classic French steak restaurant. We were like, come on, it's a steakhouse, you gotta make me a dirty martini. And the guy was like, oh, I can definitely do that. And I was like, cool, extra dirty, which means extra olive juice. And the guy was like, oh, oui. And I was like, yes, finally, I get my dirty martini. And my girlfriends were very happy for me. And then it arrived. And it was very cloudy. And then I realized that, in a dirty martini, you usually have extra olive juice. But at that restaurant in France, Their olives were not in juice. It was not in brine. It was in olive oil. So they had poured extra olive oil into my martini, and that's why it was, in a word, viscous. It was absolutely disgusting, and to be honest, it put me off even wanting a dirty martini ever again. So as a joke, for my birthday, my friend bought me this dirty martini t-shirt. We've been laughing about it ever since. So all that to say, the minute I saw this mirror, I immediately sent it to my group chat, and I was like, do I have to make this? And they were like, 100%. Okay, not gonna lie, corners are a little bit tricky to work with here, but that's okay, we're gonna make them work nonetheless. But I'm happy to report that this thick cording is the perfect solution, super easy to work with. This is why I say you can kind of make these shapes in anything you want, outline them with this cording, and you're good to go. But look, you guys can see, yay. All right, let's continue the shape. Now, I do recommend going very slowly and letting it cool so that you make sure that there's no oozing, there's no gaps, and that it is pressed really firmly against the edge. That is very, very important. And especially on any curves, shapes, etc., it's gonna wanna separate. Don't let it. Ma'am, thoughts? Ma'am, thoughts? Okay, what do we have now? Oh baby, we've got a beautiful martini top. We have a beautiful stem, we have a beautiful base, and most importantly, what do we have? Guys, we got a cutie little olive. So here's the deal. We are going to glue all this together, and then we're gonna reinforce it in kind of special ways so that we make sure that nothing just like pops off and is all crazy. Okay, here's the deal. Every part's gonna overlay the other part, right? So we're gonna have our top, and then we're gonna have our base. Okay, so basically what we wanna do on the back is we want to kind of build up like a fake back with wood pieces. This is really thin, like kind of balsa wood from previous projects. This does not need to be pretty because we're really looking for thickness, and we're just sticking those down. Okay, so this is like one flat surface, right? Then we're gonna do kind of a same weird thing on the bottom with these like little pieces. Again, we're just trying to get them in where they can. And now we are just gonna fill up that space so that we can put this guy back on. Guys, this is so messy, I know. Okay, and now you guys can see, it just gives it a little bit more reinforcement. Now I'm gonna glue this little sawhorse to it as the very last thing. But before that, we gotta top off our beautiful martini with our beautiful olive. Now the original mirror inspo actually had a little toothpick kind of coming out of it. So I decided that I would actually cut pieces of cord, and I actually hammered them flat so that they would lay a little bit more flat as opposed to round. We're gonna glue those bad boys right on to this piece. You guys see from behind, do you see? And lastly, I'm gluing her on. Oh my gosh, you guys, it looks so good. Okay, I'm gonna glue that sawhorse on. I'm gonna clean her up. I'm gonna give her a polish. But I think you guys are officially ready for your very shaken, not stirred reveal. Okay, look, I don't care what anybody says. This is the cutest thing I've ever made in my whole life on this channel. Thoughts? She agrees. I mean, look at this, guys. The elegance, the beauty, the shape, the bold graphicness, the nearly impossible ability to film this well without a million reflections. This was actually not nearly as difficult as I thought it was gonna be. I'm so happy I came up with an easy, simple way. I will link the cording and the glass cutter I used below if you guys wanna try to tackle this at home. And if you haven't seen my content before, feel free to sign up for my newsletter below. I send out a monthly roundup of DIYs, inspiration, and fun stuff just like this. Hit subscribe if you want more content like this. Until next time, time for a sip? Okay. Is that the thumbnail? That's the thumbnail. Okay, bye.